Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 3rd of October 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Thursday's morning session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, also, just before we jump into the charts, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course, our JFD Bank website, but specifically our JFD Research tab, which you can also check out on a daily basis. And yep, I believe you can find something useful here for yourselves. So feel free to visit us on jfdbank.com and click, of course, our Research tab. But for now, let's jump into the charts. Now the FTSE. FTSE is my first index here and my first chart. I have been talking about this for quite a while, and you probably can understand why. So, looking at this picture, this is quite a bit of quite an ugly picture here for the FTSE. Yesterday during my trader's tea time, we were still hanging around here, just slightly below this level here, the 7,200 zone. But what I was saying, that we could see this one drifting further down towards the 7,131. This could be a nice potential area of support from which we could potentially maybe see a bit of a rebound here. But looking at the cash index right now, we're seeing that the index is already below the 7,100 level even. So in a way, this is kind of not really looking good. Of course, don't get me wrong, at some point we could see a bit of correction, but the only thing is, for now, looking at this 4-hour chart, there is no kind of light in the end of the tunnel here for this one, because if the cash index is already slightly is around the 7,100 zone, so in a way there is a good chance we could see this one drifting further down, maybe towards these key areas of support near the 7,044 and the 7,020 zones. So again, don't get me wrong, it would be quite interesting to see maybe a bit of a rebound, but to be honest, for now, we're not going to touch this one unless we see a clear sign of a potential rebound. But for now, it seems that it's one-way traffic here, and yep, we could maybe see a test of the 7,000 and 7,044 and 7,020 zones today. So, of course, let's keep an eye on it. If let's say today it decides to correct, let's say reverse back to the upside and correct back higher here, then maybe these two levels could be left for tomorrow. But again, this is just kind of speculation here a little bit. Of course, tomorrow, don't forget that we do have the US NFPs. Should be a big day as well. Today, economic data, in terms of economic data, we do have the UK services PMIs, so those are coming out soon. Of course, we do have the EU services PMIs, and of course some other member states as well, some other European member states separately. So keep your eyes on those. We have a busy European morning. Then, of course, we'll have the retail sales as well, the EU retail sales, and don't forget about the U.S. services PMIs as well. So again, it's quite a busy day today. Again, this week in general is quite interesting to observe. Let's put it that way. And for now, looking at this FTSE here, again, in a way, we could see a bit of a rebound. But to be honest, I mean, at this point in time, and looking at even at the cash index, it seems like it is one-way traffic. graphic, and again, it would, if it continues to slide lower, then these are the two levels that we're going to be targeting, and then we'll take it from there. See what he wants to do. These are the lows. The 7,044 is the near the low of the 27th of August, and the 7,020 is near the low of the 15th of August. So in other words, the lowest point of August, this one is. So potentially could be a nice target, could be a nice area of support, this one. So that's why, guys, be very careful. Keep your eyes on this one. But again, we are quite overstretched to the downside on the shorter time frame. Let's see if it can actually rebound a little bit. I mean, in terms of the upside here, I mean, for us, let's say to consider at least some slightly higher levels, ideally we would like to see a push back above the 7,200 zone, and then we could maybe aim for slightly higher levels here, but only up until the 7,282, 83 zone. This is probably, by the time it could travel here to this area, it would meet all of its EMAs here, and yep, this could provide an additional resistance. So that's why it's very difficult to talk about the upside here. We do have a lot of obstacles before we could kind of go higher, so be very careful. So for now, it's more looking down than up. WTI Oil. Now, this one is quite interesting. So after we had this fantastic spike a couple of weeks ago, the commodity continues to decline. But probably for this one, let me actually jump into a daily chart, because this is more interesting on a daily chart from the daily perspective. So of course we are trading below this little short-term kind of tentative downside resistance line here, taken from the high of the 16th of September. Yes, 16th of September. So, but the only thing is that here it seems that it's willing to travel towards its key area of support here near the 50.6360 zone, approximately around there, guys. So as you can see, this last time it was tested on the 7th of August. It acted as a fantastic area of support. So that's why this barrier for us would be a very important one to watch. And in a way, what we're going to do here is we're just going to stay put and wait for a next clear move. So basically, in order for us, let's say, to consider further declines in the near term at least, we would need to see a drop below the 50.6360 zone, and only then we will target lower areas. And some lower areas, we do have some good potential areas of support here, which previously acted as good areas of resistance. Of course, one of the levels could be seen around here is the inside swing high here of the 26th of December 2018. So yeah, and that's around the 47 zone. We can mark it around here. But we'll be very careful here, guys. I mean, this could be our next target, kind of more medium term, maybe actually target. If we see a drop below the 50.63 zone, then yep, we will aim for the 47 zone. And maybe then after that, we could consider a possible move here towards this little area of support near the 44.37 zone. So that's basically the low of the 2nd of January this year. So or in other words, basically the lowest point of this year, the 44.37. So again, there are some good interesting levels underneath. For now, from the very short-term perspective, we are going to be aiming for the 50.63 zone here. If it traveled all this way here, might as well test this key area of support. But again, if in case this suddenly reverses back to the upside, for us, let's say, to consider higher levels on this one, well, it's a bit of a tricky one, of course, but let's say if I'll jump back into a 4-hour chart, in a way, what you could do here is keep an eye on this little area of resistance near the 54.73. Initially, if we get a push above this, then yep, we will start considering higher levels because we still have some of the EMAs to overcome here. But to be honest, if it starts clearing those and if it starts pushing above the 56.84, 85 zone, then yep, we will aim for the upside again. But again, like I said, for now, it's a bit difficult to talk about the upside, and let's see how it's gonna perform here. So for now, from the very short-term perspective, we are aiming for the 50.63 zone. So keep your eyes on that one. We'll get comfortable with aiming for that level if we see a drop below this 52.1415 zone. That's in the short, from the very short term perspective, guys. So keep your eyes on this one. DXY. So I've talked about this one recently, and basically this one managed to blow up to the upside, managed to clear this level here, the 99.37 zone. I talked about this one previously. That was the highest point of September, and the index kind of created a new high here on October 1st, and that's near the 99.67 zone. So from there it kind of slid back below the 99.37 zone. Again, it came back from underneath, tested it, maybe it just slightly overshot it, but failed to kind of break, no, failed to close above it. So now how we could look at this, of course, and this is a 4-hour chart. We could in a way look at it this way, where we will consider this little tentative downside line. For now, we're going to keep an eye on it, because if this, as you can see, the index is reversing back to the upside, but if it gets a hold up around here, and this is basically a sweet spot here, because not only it could meet this downside resistance line, but also it could get a hold up near the pivot, today's pivot, which is around the 99.1312 zone, approximately around there, and also it could test the 21 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. So basically a lot of there's 3 obstacles to kind of at one point to overcome. So that's why this level here becomes quite a strong one to watch. And if we get a hold up around here, we could see another round of selling. The only thing is that here probably I will say that in order for us to get comfortable with lower levels, ideally now we would like to see a drop below the 98.96 zone, and only then we will aim for slightly lower areas. And of course, areas like this right here near the 98.74, 75 zone could be a nice potential target. You can see previously it acted as a very good area of resistance, so now it could play the role of support. But again, we need to see a drop below this 98.96 territory first, and only then we will aim for the 98.74, 75 territory. In terms of the upside, ideally now we would like to see a push back above the 99.37 before we could examine higher levels. So keep your eyes on this one. This leads us into USDJPY now. So USDJPY, so I looked at this one recently, and I was talking about this little kind of area of kind of this little range, but now this, we can get rid of these highlighted areas, but we'll keep this one for now. Basically, after sliding below the 200 EMA, and this is what I was saying, that if it slides below the 200 EMA, there could be a good chance of testing the 106.93 territory. We managed to do that, and of course now this barrier for us becomes a more important one to watch in order to consider further declines. But don't forget that on the other hand, we are kind of stuck here in this wider range, roughly between these two levels, the 106.93 and the 108.48. So in a way, if this fails to drop below the 106.93, well, we could see a nice rebound here, back up here, back to the upside. We could consider some higher levels, but to be honest, we'll be very careful here. Yes, we could aim for higher levels, but only inside the range. So in terms of the upside, what you could do here is, of course, you could start looking at the 200 EMA here, and also today's pivot, which is around the 107.37, roughly around there. And if it gets above this today, then we could consider a possible move towards the 107.62 or even the 107.90 zone. So good potential target, but as you can see by the arrow drawn here, we need to see a nice good pop above this before we, let's say, we could consider a possible test of the upper side of this wider range. But again, we will remain somewhat cautious, or should I say cautiously bearish for now. Will remain just because it's closer to the lower bound of the range, and if that gets broken, then yep, the further declines here are possible. So keep your eyes on this, guys. Quite interesting developments. But again, like I said, looking at the DXY, and what I've mentioned, yes, it's currently reversing. The DXY is reversing a little bit higher. Maybe that's why the USD JPY is getting a hold up here. But if DXY starts sliding again, then in a way, this could all kind of combine with the weakening dollar and the buying interest of Japanese yen, rising buying interest, of course, due to the risk-off environment right now in the equity markets. So all this could kind of combine, and we could see this one drifting further south. So keep your eyes on this one. AUDCAD, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one, but just wanted to quickly run through this. So fantastic reversal yesterday. Look at this pop. It managed to break and clear this level right here. Now it became an inside swing high, the 0.8877 zone, and the pair traveled higher. Now the only thing is to watch out here, guys, and it's quite an interesting pair, of course, but be very careful. We are trading near this down tentative, of course, but still a downside resistance line taken from the high of the 13th of September. So we're not far from it. We may see another push higher here, but if it fails to drive above this, then, well, we could see a bit of correction here back to the downside. I'm not saying that this could lead all the way back here to the downside here towards these yesterday's lows. And by the way, just let me quickly mark the yesterday low here, and this was quite a big move here for this pair. So it was a 0.8830 area, so that's what it tested yesterday, and then blew up, and now it's currently near its downside resistance line. So if this downside line gets broken, for us still to, in order to kind of, let's say, get excited with slightly higher levels, ideally a push above the 0.8978 zone. Let me just quickly put this one, 78, 76, something like that. A break above this could send the pair a little bit higher, but we'll keep a close eye on the 200 EMA here in a way, just in case if it provides a bit of resistance. And if it fails to do that, then yep, the next target could be around here near the 0.9020 area. So keep your eyes on that one. And for now, like I said, guys, it's quite an interesting one. It's currently, you can see that it's currently getting held here by the 50 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, and that's shown as the red line. Again, like I said, in small overshoot here, could test the downside line, but if it holds, we could see a bit of a correction here and a move back down, maybe towards the pivot, which is around the 0.8904. So that's could be quite a decent move here, and also it could test the 20 SMA inside the Bollinger Band. So good potential area for support. So, and also maybe a good potential area for a rebound, maybe. So, again, for now, be very careful. Keep an eye on on these levels. In order for us, let's say, to consider the downside again, well, we'll start looking at lower levels if we see a drop back below the 0.8877. But then, ideally, of course, we would like to see a push below the 0.8830, and only then aim for lower levels, because this way the pair would confirm a forthcoming lower low and it could open the path tip towards these lower areas. GBPCAD, now something to watch out today as well, and as I've mentioned, we do have the UK services PMIs, quite an important number to watch. Yesterday we had a nice push here to the upside. I was talking about this pair yesterday, and basically we were still hanging around here below this downside resistance line, but what I was saying, that if we get a pop above the 1.6373 zone, then yep, this has a good chance to continue drifting north. It found good resistance near one of my other levels here, the 1.6414, roughly around there. Retraced back down, and looking at this one right now, and probably on the 1-hour chart, it could be a little bit more clear, and we are forming something of a potential bullish flag here. So keep your eyes on this one. So in a way, how you could play this one out for today, for example, if you see a pop above the yesterday's highs, and or even the 1.6414 level, then yep, the next target to consider is around the 1.6452. So keep your eyes on that one. Again, if it starts sliding lower here, it still has some support underneath. We do have some support near this yesterday's breakout point, the 1.6373. if it holds, we could see a nice rebound here and a push to the upside again. So for us to consider the downside, we'll be very, very conservative for now, because all this territory could be quite tricky. So a drop below the 1.6190 could do the trick here for us, and we could aim for lower levels. GBPUSD, now this one is flat for now. Yesterday, of course, it did have a push back to the upside. It basically it is a little bit volatile this week. So on one hand, yes, it managed to reverse from this key area of support near the 1.22 zone, near that level, just fractionally, maybe just a few pips higher, but it then yesterday sold off again, but then quickly reversed back to the upside. So it's a bit of a roller coaster ride here, guys. So that's why we're going to be very careful with this one, and we're going to keep an eye on this little territory right here near the 1.2346, 45 zone. So because if we get a nice push above this level, this is where it could become interesting for the buyers again, because this way the rate would be back above the 200 EMA, or in a way above all of its EMAs, and but also it will be breaking this little downside resistance line here. So currently the rate is kind of getting held here, just slightly below it. But again, like I said, this is the level for us to watch in order to consider higher levels here. So guys, be very careful with this one. Yes, we will aim for the 1.2410 zone, which previously acted as a good area of support. Now it could take the role of resistance, and then we'll take it from there. We'll see what it wants to do further. Maybe we'll aim for this little target here near the 1.25 zone. Could be a nice area, but we'll go step by step, very slowly, and yep, keep your eyes on some of these levels here. In terms of the downside, well, we'll be very careful here as well, because ideally we would like to see a drop below the 1.22 zone, and only then aim for lower areas. Maybe somewhere the 1.21 zone could be a good potential target for this pair. And the last pair for this session is going to be euro dollar. Yesterday I kept talking about this, and yesterday and the day before yesterday, basically in order for us to consider higher levels in this one and higher levels, let's say up until this downside resistance line taken from the high of June, we need to see a push above the 1.0964. So yesterday we had a fantastic test of that, from which you can see the pair is retracing back down here a little bit. That's quite normal. That's okay. So in a way, it could test today's pivot, which is roughly around the 1.0942, 43 zone, something like that. And after that, we'll take it from there, see what he wants to do. So if he wants to rebound and push back to the upside, that's good for the bulls. Again, by the way, also this level here, the pivot is quite a strong one for today, because that's also near the 21 EMA, which probably could approach by the time this decides to travel all the way here towards the pivot. So the 21 EMA could also provide a bit of support, and this area of resistance on the 1st of October could become a nice good area of support now, and again all this could add up for a nice move back to the upside. But for those who are more on the cautious side, this is the level to watch, the 1.0964, and I kept talking about this one for the whole week, so keep your eyes on this one. A nice good pop above this could open the path towards higher levels. In terms of the downside, we'll keep an eye on the 1.0924 still, and ideally maybe a drop below the 1.0904 could do the trick here for the sellers, and we could see this one sliding further down. Okay guys, I really hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around. I'll have to wrap it up here. I hope you, like I said, you enjoyed it, and if you want to join me later on at my traders tea time, as always, that's 13:15 GMT. For now, I hope you have a beautiful trading day. Keep an eye on the news today, and stay safe, guys. Have your stop losses in place. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.